Hey guys, my name is Sanjay Raj and welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, we will be building a courses website using React and Redux. Now, this website is a platform where you could sell your own courses or also buy courses that people want to sell. And in the home, that's pretty basic. And also in the home page, you could see the courses that people want to sell. Now, this is very basic. This is not with images and all those kind of stuff. I wanted to make something something clean, so I just went with this text format, or else I could have implemented image. I did not implement it because of different dimensions, and there are width problems and all those stuff, so I just went with the text format. So you could just see cards being displayed. These are specific courses, meaning that this is one course and this is another one. So here you could see the title, the description, the price, but this is pretty basic. You cannot buy it in here. So you just click on it and it will take you to the specific course page, that particular one, and that ID is being passed on to the parameter. And here this is a bigger card, so you could see the title larger, who is it by, and the description, the price, the rating, it's 4 out of 5, and you could buy it. Now I have not designed the buy now page. It may be for another video, or it's just a simple function. You could just add it to the Redux, but that's not what we are going to be focusing on this video. So you could click on buy now, and also you could create your own course. So here you could see sell a course. Once we click on that, it will take us to this form. So you could say name of the course. I'll say JavaScript basics and learn the fundamentals of JavaScript, and 0 is basically the price of the course. So I'll just say 19.99, 19 pounds.99. Okay, so I'll just say James Charlie, I don't know who it is, so I'll just say this, and if I say add course, it will take me to the home page, and as you guys can see, the course is added. You could see JavaScript basics, learn the fundamental, the price, everything. Once I click on it, it will take me to that one. It will pass the ID to the header, and all those kind of stuff are happening. We'll also go back, and that is the basic website, guys. So I hope you guys are excited. The code will be linked in the description, the GitHub repository. You could check it out. This is a good project that you could add to your portfolio. So let's get started. So right now I have just a basic React app with the public source and the node modules. I got this by opening up the terminal, npx create React app, and then you put the name of the project. In this case I have said YT courses page. So you could name anything you want, and from that I got my React boilerplate code. Okay, so as you guys can see, from the source folder, we're just going to be deleting the source folder, move to recycle bin, and we're going to be creating our own source folder. Okay, so just to start, we will be creating index. It should be index.js, and we will be creating app.js. Okay, so first of all, let's go to index.js, and I'm going to be importing a couple of things. Import React from React, and we'll be importing React DOM from React-DOM, and then we'll say React DOM dot render. We want to render the app component because that is the main component that's going to render everything. Okay, so get element by ID, which is going to be the root folder in the public folder. Okay, so inside app.js you could say import React and then create a function, but I've just installed a plugin I'll just type RAFCE, and that's gonna give me all the boilerplate code just to create a component. Okay, that's called ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native snippets. So you could download that from your VS Code extensions. So in our app component, I'll just render an h1 saying this is the app component, and let's run the server to see whether it's working properly. And you just type npm start by opening up your console. I'll get back with you guys once the server is started. So guys, the server is running. As you guys can see, there's an error in index.js, app is not defined. So let's go to index.js. So app is not defined. I'll just put control space, and I can auto import it from the source folder itself. Okay, so if I refresh app, okay, So first of all, let's get started by implementing Redux. Okay, we're going to use Redux for state management. Let's first of all create all the folders and the files, and then let's install all the npm packages. First of all, we need features, and then app. Okay, there are a couple of things that we should install. It is npm React Redux, and also the Redux.js toolkit. Okay, the Redux.js/toolkit. So these are two npm packages that we might need in order to create the store, the actions, the reducers, and all those kind of stuff. And I'll get back once these are done. Okay, guys. So the npm packages are installed. I'll close the terminal. Inside of features, I'll create a folder called courses slice.js, and inside of app, I'll create a file called store.js. Okay, so inside of courses slice, we want to create our reducer, we want to create our slice basically. So I will import create slice. Now if you are not familiar with this, I do have a beginner project video on my channel, which I'll link to in the description down below, where you could learn this, and I'll go in depth about how to implement this Redux slice and all those kind of stuff, which I'll leave in the description down below. Also, I will be making a Redux small intro video, so make sure to be subscribed and turn on the notifications to be updated on that. And so import create slice from at Redux.js toolkit. So that's coming from Redux.js toolkit. So that's all we might need. And also one thing that we might need, so as you guys saw from the actual application, if you click on it, the ID is being passed and we are getting that specific course. Now how do we get that? We should have a unique ID in order to define this. So to get that unique ID, we will be using an npm package called UUID. Okay, so let's install that. Now that's gonna give us random user IDs. Okay, so you could use that in order to define arrays, objects, and all those kind of stuff. So I'll say npm install UUID, and that's a small package that should be installed in a couple of seconds. So let's work on this. Once it's done, you could close out the terminal, and I'm going to import v4. So version 4 is the UUID's recent version, so you want to install that. You could also visit the npm.js npm.js package website, and you could see you read the documentation, maybe it's updated. Okay, so you could import v4 as UUID v4. So v4 is the actual name of the package. We are taking that as UUID v4. So we will be using this to run the functions and stuff. And let's import UUID just like that. And let's create our slice. So let's call it courses slice, which will be equal to create slice. First of all, we want to give a name to this. I'll say courses, and then we want to give the initial state. So the Redux is going to hold this even if the website refreshes. So if we add a course, that will be added to the Redux, but when we refresh it, it will go away. So you could implement local storage in that case, but just for this tutorial, I'll just keep it normal basic. So inside of the initial state, I'm going to have an object array called courses, which is going to have multiple objects. So courses will be an array of objects. Okay, so inside of the objects, we are just going to be having the basic, just these two. Once I refresh both of these courses, so I have that already typed out. So let me copy that and paste it, which will be linked in the description, so you could just go to the GitHub repository and get it. So I'll paste it. So inside of this array, we have an ID. So in order to get the unique ID, you just put ID equals and you put UUID v4. So I'll just copy that and I'll paste it, and you run it as a function, and that's gonna just give you the ID. Okay, so we are done right here. After the initial state is being defined, we could create a reducer. Now we don't have that much reducers, we just have one reducer in order to push our new course into this courses array. So reducers, I'll take that as an object, and that's going to be called set courses, which will take the state and the action, and with that we will say state dot courses dot push. So we're going to push it to the end of the array, so that's going to become the third one. Okay, we're going to push the action dot payload, meaning the data that we're going to be passing inside of set courses. Okay, so the way it basically works, we just say set courses, and whatever we pass inside of the brackets is going to be the actual action dot payload. So if I say data, which is going to be an object, that will be the action dot payload. Once the reducer is done, we have to export all of this. So first of all, I will export the reducer. Okay, so the way I export it is, export const set courses, which will be equals to course slice, so which will be equal to this courses slice dot actions. So that this is an action, or yeah, it's a reducer, but it's an action that we want to perform. So after that we want to export the state, so that is the courses. So if you want to export any variable, you just put the 1 minute. So you put select and then the name of the variable. So export const select and then courses. So we need the state for this, and let's say state dot courses dot courses. Now why did I put courses dot courses? State dot courses. So this is not this array, this courses is this. So we are taking the state, and we are taking the state that is inside of this particular slice. So we could create multiple slices in one file. So we're taking state dot courses, this one, and then the courses inside that is going to be this array. After that, I'll just export this reducer so we can use it in our store. So this is going to be a default export. So I'll say course slice dot reducer. Yep, course slice dot reducer, courses slice dot reducer. Okay, so once this is done, everything is exported, everything is defined. Let's cut this and let's go to app. What is it? Store.js. Wait, I did this in store.js. Okay, so let me cut this. I'll paste this in course slice.js. So that's my mistake. So once you're in course slice, you want to import what you want to import is configure store. So you want to create a store with all the stuff that you have created. So configure store from @redux.js toolkit, and we want to import the store that we exported. So it's called courses reducer. That's what we exported. So reducer from dot slash and we go to into features, into courses slice. Okay, in order to create the configure the store, we'll create default export configure store, and then inside of this we will create reducers. So we are going to define all the reducers that we have created, which is only one for now. So the courses reducer which we imported, we'll just paste it right here. Okay, so I'll make sure that this is configure store. So this is pretty much done. So we have imported the reducer that we created, we're exporting it, and we are configuring our store. So let's go to index.js now. So we want to import a couple of stuff. We want to import provider in order to wrap the component. This will be coming from React Redux. Also we want to import one thing which will be coming from the courses slice, from the store. So we will import store from /app/store. Okay, so we will wrap the app component inside of the provider component so that we get the Redux. So we can see the Redux in our Chrome developer tools. Okay, so inside of provider we'll pass an attribute of store equals to store, which is this. So store is the actual attribute, and this is what we are exporting from store.js. So now React Redux is done. So let's go to our website, refresh it. Reduces required argument, must be a function, configure store. Okay, let me go. It's in store.js. Okay, let me go to store.js. Okay, so this should be reducer, not reducers. So if I refresh it, okay, we got no errors. I'll open up my dev tools, go to Redux. As you guys can see, it says init, and if we go to state, you can see the courses in an array. Okay, so you guys can see the ID, it's uniquely here. As you guys can see, it's uniquely done by UUID. Okay, so that's what we want right now, and let's go ahead and work on our home page. Okay, let me cut all of this, and I'll create a new folder inside of the source folder called components, and I'll name this the course.js. okay, this is going to have the individual course, but we will not be working with this for now. We will be just working with app.js. okay, so inside of app.js, what we want to do is we want to get the data that we want to pass into our individual courses. Okay, so the way we use it is we'll say const courses will be equals to use selector. Now the selector is basically how we get the state that we have in our Redux. So you put use selector, and then you put this brackets, and then you put what selector you want to get. So we did export a selector here, select courses. So we want to import the select courses. So I'll just put control space, and I'll import it from courses slice. Okay, right here. So I'll just check whether the courses is available. So I'll say courses, if it is available, I'll say true. Okay, so the courses is available. Okay, so right here, first of all, what I want to do is I want to map the entire courses array, and then I want to render the courses component. But before that, we want to implement React router. So let's install React router DOM, which is going to install browser router, the links and all those kind of stuff. So let's work on the header first. So this will be app. Inside of the app, we will have a div with a class of header, and inside of the header we will just have a basic h1, and we'll say a place to sell your courses online, and then we will have a link which we'll do with React router. So let's import all of the stuff that we need from React router DOM. So let's import first React browser router as router. If you guys don't know React router, I do have a full video on React router which I'll leave in the description down below, so you could maybe watch that and then come back and watch this if you're confused. But you could also watch this, it's not much complicated. So we're going to import browser router as router, and then we just get a route, we'll get the link, and then we'll get switch. That will be coming from React router DOM. Okay, so yep. So let's wrap the entire app component which we are returning inside of the router component, just like that. And inside of this we could use the components from React router DOM. So first of all, we need a link that will enable us to add a new course, but we will not be working on that first. So that will go to /add course, which we will implement, and that will say sell a course. Okay, we will also give a class name so that we could style it a little bit. We'll say header button. Just like that, we have worked on the header component. So now let's work on making sure that we render the courses to the course component. We render each of the courses. So let's say switch, and inside of switch I want to create the route. So if you see the documentation, you should actually create like this: switch, then the route. So inside of the route, I just don't want to create a component. I want to render some functionality and then render the component. So for the route, you want to pass an attribute path slash and exact, which means that if it goes to just slash, meaning just localhost port 3001, you want to render what is inside of this route, and this should be exact. So if I go to slash just like that, it wouldn't be rendered. So what we are about to render would not be rendered. Okay, so that's what the basic understanding of exact is. So inside of this, I want to create a div with a class name of courses, and inside of this we want to map the courses. So as you guys know, taking the courses state from the Redux is an asynchronous process, so we wait until it's done. Instead of using async await, we could just check whether courses exist, and then we could run up a function. So we could say courses, which is this, we are selecting from the Redux courses, and we'll say and, which means that if courses exist, we want to say courses dot map, and that will return us an individual course, and with that we want to return something. So if you could put this brackets, but you would have to put the return statement. So an easy way would just be to put the normal brackets. Okay, right here we want to render a link component. The reason we are rendering a link component is because we want each of our card to be clickable. So if we click on it, it's going to take us to a different URL. So that's why, that's the reason we have a link component. Okay, so let's name this link, because we want to take off the text decoration if there is any, and that's gonna, so this link component will render the course component, which we have not yet created, but we will. This will actually go to slash and its ID. So if you see, if I click on this, it's going to a different ID, but if I click on this, it's going to a different ID as well. So that's what we want to create. It should go to a unique place. So we just put the brackets, we put the backticks, put the $, and you say course dot ID. Okay, so once that's done, it's going to be a clickable component. It's going to go to slash and its ID. The course component we have not done yet, so we'll just render something. RAFCE should render all of that. Create H1. I'll just say course component, and once we render it, it's gonna show it to us. So control space so that we could import it, and let's see what we have on our website. As you guys can see, course component, but when I click on it, it's gonna go to slash and its ID, and click on this, it's gonna go to slash and that specific course's ID. And this is just staying just like that because we are rendering that in our app component, and app component is not going to change. So once we have done that, we want to make sure that we are passing that specific course data into the course component. So if we check, once we go here, there's no way we can take the data of that particular component, right? So the way we use is we say data equals course. So whatever we are mapping, that will be equals to the data, so we are passing it as props. So once we go here, we could destructure it, take it as data, and right here we could render all of the component. So let me go to course.js. So I have the code right next to me, so which I did. So I'll name this div with a class of just course. So this is an individual course, and that's gonna have two divs. That's gonna have an h1, which will have the data.name, and we will have a p tag, which will have data.description, which will show the format of the data which we created actually. So if you go to course slice, so this is data.name, data.description, data.price, data.buy, and data.rating. Okay, so that's what we are using this to render. So we can create another div because we are using it in a flex format. So we create another h3, and we put the $, because we want to show the price. So data.price. There's another h1, which is gonna say data.buy, but for this not a dollar sign, just a buy. Let's do that. Sorry. And then let's have a p tag, which is going to show the rating, which is going to be out of 5, by the way. So data.rating should be out of 5. Now let's go and take a look. So if I click on it, as you guys can see here, we've got all the information about the course displaying right here. So that's what we want, the tips for developers, the price of it, all those kind of stuff by James, rating, and that's also dynamic and coming from Redux. So we have created the component, but in order to style it, we want to give class names. So I have class names for each of it. So it's gonna say, first one, it's gonna say course.title, and then for the description we'll say course. So we are using the BEM format, so course and then underscore underscore, and then you put the next word. Right here it's gonna be course price. It's course underscore underscore price, and here the class name will be equals, sorry, n should be capital, class name should be equals to course underscore by, and here the class name should be course underscore underscore rating. Okay, we will be implementing the styling, but however we will not be going like one by one. I'll just copy and paste it, which you can find it in the GitHub repository as well. So let's just go check. It's just gonna be the same because we have not implemented the styling. So right after that, we don't need to work on the styling right now. It's just a copy and paste, which will just work. Right now we want to implement a functionality so that once we click on the component, it's actually going to the specific ID. But once it goes to that specific ID, we want to make sure that we are rendering that particular component's information. So how do we do that? So let's use React router for that. So I'm in app.js, and let's come below this route, but inside of the switch component. So I'll create a route component, and that path should be for slash and colon ID, meaning that if it goes to slash and there's an ID next to it, render the component that we are going to put inside of the route component. Now how are we like, passing the ID to the header? It's just here. So we are saying to, so once we click on this, it's gonna go to slash and course.id. So we are saying here, if it goes to slash id, make sure to render this component. So what component are we gonna render? We're gonna render a component called ind course, meaning individual course. Okay, so let's create that component inside of components folder, in course.js, RAFCE. Okay, so let's just say an h1 with ind course, and I'll see whether it works. So control space to auto import it, and yeah, so once we click on this, it's going to take us to ind course, and that's slash the ID. And if we go to the first one, that's going to go to ind course as well. So let's work on the ind course component. So as you guys can see, the ind course component has access to this particular ID by using use params, using React hooks, right? So we could use that in order to get that particular component's data. So what we're going to be using is use params. So let's say const ID will be equals to use params. Basically, use params is a React hook. It helps you to get the parameters that you're passing. So let me import it first of all. Now how do you know, how do you name this ID? Because you're saying colon ID. So if I put course ID, course ID, this variable should be course ID as well. So that's how we know that it's ID. So right here we have used params, and the way we are going to take it, we could use the filter method and all those kind of stuff, but just to keep it easy, what we're going to be using is we are going to take all of the data from the Redux, and then we are going to check if the ID that is being passed to the id that is being passed to the headers is equals to the id that we are getting from the function. So that's the format that we're going to be using. So let's say const courses will be equals to use selector, like we did it in app.js, the same. So we're going to use the select user, no, select what was it, select courses. So right here we are going to just run a simple function. So what we want to do, we want to map the entire courses array. We want to check if the id inside of it, which is this id, is equals to the id that is being passed in from the headers. So that's what we're going to be doing. First of all, let's check if courses exist, and if it exists, we want to run a function which is courses.map, which will return the course itself, and from that we want to return something. So here we want to check if the id that is being passed in, which is this, is equals to the course.id. So in case this is this and this is same, we want to render the component, the course that is with that id. So id equals course.id. If it is true, then we want to render some function, and if it is not, then we don't want to render anything. Okay. Why is it showing me an error? Type annotations can be used. So let's come back, equals, and then I'll check. So before I do that, with the course, what I want to do, I want to check if the id is equals to course.id. So if it is equal, then I want to render something. If it is not, then I don't want to render anything. So that should be how it should work. With the course, if the id is equals to course.id, then we want to render true, else false. Okay, that is working. So it was just a normal error because we did not render anything yet. So I'll render a div so that we don't get the error, or else we don't want to render anything. Okay, inside of this div, I want to name this individual course because this is something different. So individual course. Inside of this div, we want to have the same information that was displayed in the home page, but we want to display it widely. So the first one we want to have is the h1 with the course.name. Okay, course.name. Let's just have this and check whether it works. So let's go here, refresh, click on it, and as you guys can see, we can see the actual name of the course that we clicked on. So if you click on this, it should say become a better developer, which it does. So that's pretty much it. And then after that, we want to render a span tag which says course.by. So who created the course? Course.by. And right after that, we want to render a div. Okay, should do this. Yeah, the div which will have the course description. So I'll just say description, and I have the course description. And then I want to have an h1 which will have the course price with a $, course.price. Right after that, I want to exit out of that div and give the rating, and then a button to buy. Okay, so I'll have an h4 for rating because I want that to be smaller, course.rating, and that is out of 5. And after the h4, I want a button, okay, which will say to buy now, and I'll have a class name Okay, I don't need a class name for this. It's just a buy now button, so I'm gonna have a button styling for for everything. So seller course and also for the buy now, it's gonna be the same styling. So the individual courses is also done. So once we click on it, it's going to that particular div. But we also have another functionality that we want to add, which is to sell a course. So if you go to add the course, we want to have a form that actually adds it to the Redux. So let's create a new file called addcourse.js, and let's just say RAFCE just to have the boilerplate, and let's say add course. Now if you go to app.js, we want to pass the route as well. So right above this, I'll say route, and if the path is equals to /add course, we want to render the add course component, which is also being exported right here. So we could go ahead and check add course is not defined in app.js. Add course, okay, so control space, and I'll click on that. It should be defined now. Okay, so if I click on seller course, you could add your own course right here. So inside of this, we just want a couple of input forms, input fields, and then you could, once you click on the button, it's just gonna get you to submit to the Redux, and that's pretty much it, and it's gonna redirect you to the home page. Okay, so I'm having a div here with a class name of add underscore course, and then we're going to be having a couple of inputs. So first of all, we will have an input for the name, and there's a lot of inputs, so I'll just copy and paste it, because there are 6 inputs. So you could find that in the GitHub repository. I'll copy it and I'll paste it right here. As you guys can see, I have the value and on change, which you do not have to see right now. So I have an input with a placeholder to say name of the course, input with a placeholder to say course description, input price, course creator, that's by the course the person who created the course, and then you have the course rating, and then after that, lastly, we want to create a button in order to submit it. So I'll just say add course. Okay, so on the person when the person clicks on this particular button, I want to run a specific function. So I'll get the event. So because I want to prevent the browser from refreshing, so I want to run a function called add course. So this is not the component, don't auto import it. Put the brackets, and then pass the e parameter inside of it, so we can prevent the default. So as you guys can see, we have the value, name, and an onChange property. So this is because we are using state in order to manage the values that we have. So let's also import the state, because there's a lot of state here. So I'll paste it. So if we have name, so we are using hooks, use state hooks. So sorry, use state, control space. Let me just import it. Yeah, it's imported. So basically, const name and then set name is equals to a string. First of all, it's equals to a string. Description is also a string by default. Price is 0 by default. Buy is a string, and rating is also a string. And once we put the value is equals name, it's going to be just an empty string. And on change, when the person types it, we are going to change the name string, which is also going to be updating the value. So it's just basic. If you followed my previous basic video on Redux, you would actually know this, which I'll leave to in the description down below. So now we'll work on the add course function. Right after this, I'll say const add course, which I'll take the event parameter, because we are passing it in right here. First of all, always, if you're dealing with a button on click, just say e.prevent default, and what we want to do is basically submit it to Redux and then redirect them to the home page. So we're going to be using history.push. So for that, I'll say const history will be equals, and that is also a hook. Use history hook. So I'll say control space, and it's loading. Auto imported from React router DOM. So you should install that previously. So history will be equals to const use history, and now we could redirect the user as well. Also, we need dispatch, which is also a hook. Use dispatch. So I'll auto import it, control space, use dispatch, and then dispatch will be equals to use dispatch. So you could use this in order to add the data to Redux, and that's what we're going to be using dispatch for. So first of all, we want to do some basic validation to check whether these values are not empty. So we just want to do whether they are not empty, then add it to the Redux. So we want to check if the name variable that we have here is not equals to nothing, and we want to make sure that the description is not equals to nothing. We also want to make sure that the price is not equals to 0, and we want to make sure that buy is not equals to nothing. Also, we want to make sure that the rating is not equals to nothing. So we want to just make sure that it's not empty. That's the main point of this function. It's not that hard. And then we open the brackets and we check, and we then add it to Redux. That's pretty much it. And just to add it to Redux, we'll say dispatch, and then put the brackets, then you put the object inside of it, and yeah, you could just say the data that you want to pass. But for this, we have actually created a reducer that would actually help us in order to add it to our Redux. So it says set courses. Let's import set courses right here. So could actually auto import it. That's pretty easy. So set courses, control space, and then you can auto import it from features / course slice, which is this. Okay, set courses, and then you put the brackets, then you open the brackets, and then you could put the data that you want to pass in. Now if you guys actually noticed, we are creating a dynamic UUID for each and every course that we are creating. So even if we want to add a new course, we want to create a unique UUID and then add it to the ID property. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing. We want to import v4 as UUID v4, and that will be coming from UUID. Okay, so right here, first of all, there are 6 properties that we have, which is ID, which will be equals to UUID v4, and then just put a function, and that's gonna just give you a random user ID, unique ID, and the name will be equals to the name state that we have here, and that's gonna apply to everything. Okay, description will be equal to desk, which is short for description, which is this state, which will have the input and all those kind of stuff. Price will be equals to the price value that we have in our state. Now this is the value that we have right here, and we are making that equals to the state. And that's just for beginners if they don't know what is happening. So buy will be equals to buy, and rating will be equals to rating, and that is the state that we have here. So once the code has added it to Redux, we want to push the user to the home page. Yeah, history.push, and we want to pass them the /. Okay, you can just put /. So history.push / you want, once this is done, just push them to the home page. So let's just go to the website. Well, for now the website should be fully functional, so let me go to / we'll check if everything's working. You could click on this, and you could also click on this. You could sell a course and name of the course, and if it is not, I forgot that, if it is not equals to nothing, we want to just allow the user to enter a value. Okay, so you could also create a model, that's perfectly fine, but you could have this alert, and enter valid enter values, proper values into the fields. So let's just try if that works. Let's click on add course. Everything is default, so let's click on OK. Wait 1 minute. Okay, so I'll cut this. Now what it is doing is, once I click on add course, now I have not actually added the course properly. If I click on OK, it's actually redirecting me to the / home page. I don't want to do that. I always want to do that only when the data is being added to Redux. So I'll just put it inside of the if statement. So only if this is true, it'll actually dispatch it and history.push. So let's go to set a course, add a course. Okay, so nothing is happening. I'll just give a name to course, add course, enter proper values. So that's also validation is fully working. So let's just actually add a course. So I'll just say JavaScript basics, learn the fundamentals of JavaScript, and we'll put the price to $19.99, and I'll put James as the course creator, and it's, let's say, 5 out of 5 course. I'll say add course, and as you guys can see, the course is added perfectly and fully to Redux. It's, as you guys can see, that's the third course that is available, and JavaScript Basics by James. If I click on it, it's taking us to the dynamic page. That's perfect. Let's go and take a look at what Redux is doing. Let's go back and let's open up Redux, go to state. You can see all the values here: 0, 1, first course, second course. So if I click on seller course, I'll just put 1 for everything, just check if it works. That's good. I'll just say JavaScript basics. I'll just put my name, and let's say it's 5 out of 5 course. If I click add a course, okay, why is it not working? Okay, the price should be valid, 19, and add a course, and it's added. If we go, the reducer is working and the courses is added. So that's pretty much it, guys. Now let's go add the styling. So I'll create a folder inside of this. No, I'll just create a file, because there's only going to be one file inside of it. It's going to be main.css. I'll copy all of the styling that I have and I'll paste it. Now this is very basic for the buttons and then just the width and a grid format, and let's just import all of it. So I'll first of all import it to app.js, import ./main.css, and inside of ind course import ./main.css. I'll copy that and paste it here as well, and also paste it here. So we don't need for course slice. So if we go ahead and refresh, you could see it's right here, but there's a small problem. So I'll just go ahead and take a look what it is, and it should be a width problem. Okay, so I'll go to app.js. It should be not problem. Okay, it's inside of the app. So let's go to main.css. The width is being applied to app, and there's no width here. So the width is only the problem. So Control Shift I, div.courses, so I'll just make the app render the entire app with the router. So I'll just check if that works. Yeah, so it's working. The width is all perfect. So if you click on it, you could see all this stuff. Also add the styling for it. If I go to individual course, I'll just copy all the styling that we have. So together with this class name, so in the course title, course by, course description, course price and course rating, the others are just the same. So if you go here, you could see the text is much bigger than the price with a different color. You could also sell a course. And then yeah guys, that's pretty much it. The project is fully done. You could host it on Netlify, put it on your portfolio. It's a great project to put it on a portfolio. And hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter, and also I have a blog post. You could sign up to the newsletter or something in the description down below. And that's pretty much it guys. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next video.